where do you see software engineering now going with the advent of AI?
Yep.
So
it's crazy.
where's it all going?
Like we're going to like a place where a single person who knows how to drive it can build what 10 would take 10 people to build before. Like before you'd build an entire build team, including design and the creative side, architecture, DevOps, coding, testing. Like if the person knows what they're doing with the AI, 1 or 2 people could get that same job done that would be 10 people. And
all of our portfolio company CTOs basically that are in the know come to us and say they'll need half as many people as they thought they would now.
So it's really weird because the last few years, most of the colleges and dev boot camps and everything was like, go get a degree in computer science and you'll have a job for life. Now it's like how many software developers are going to be on the market? Like the ones who don't adapt to AI, they'll be the ones that are on the market and stay on the market. The ones who learn to code with AI and it's demonstrably they're good at it, those will be the people.
We're hearing from CEOs everywhere at all stages and levels that it's never been easier almost to hire coders than now.
Welcome back to the Startup Ignition Podcast. Thank you so much for watching the last episode. We're your hosts, John and Tyler. I'm Tyler, entrepreneur, general partner of Startup Ignition Ventures. This is John, advisor, mentor, OG. And today we have an awesome guest joining us today. His name is Travis Cook. Travis, I have a bio on you, and I'm going to read it, even though I know who you are, and I've known you for years. But Travis Cook is a seasoned entrepreneur, investor, and mentor. Back in '96, you were a Java developer. I saw on your LinkedIn. I think your LinkedIn says that. And that is what led you to co-founding Solution Stream, which is a pioneering custom software development shop that kind of led on to all of the greatness that we've had here in Utah. It's been had decades of runs. It still exists today. You're just not involved in it today.
That's right.
And then later you served as CEO of how do you say that? Apigo?
Apigo. It's called Taskfire now.
Okay. So it was a productivity app, and that's now called Taskfire. More recently, you were the president of Nerd United, which was doing a lot of blockchain building based applications and kind of in the crypto ecosystem. And now you're doing a lot of AI application stuff, and you're of course still doing mentoring and advising and helping early stage startups and just being an all around ecosystem startup player, right?
That's what I'm doing.
And doing a lot of investing. Are you doing investing?
Yeah, that's probably most of my time.
You're doing a lot of investing.
He's a friend, co-investor, golfing buddy.
We've
been to the
Close
Masters
friends.
together.
You guys went to the Masters.
We were on the 18th green when Tiger Woods won the Master in 2019.
I'll never forget it.
Yeah, that was amazing.
I was invited to go on that trip.
We got to go there with Warren too.
Yeah.
I was invited to go on that trip and I said no, and I kind of regret it to this day. So
it was a
once in a lifetime
Who
thing.
knew the year we chose to go, Tiger Woods would do that?
He'd do the comeback.
It was magical though.
Amazing.
Was
and
the most
Finau
amazing
was right
sport.
there in the same group.
Yeah, that was cool. I remember he was up there in contention.
That was for attending. I mean, that was right up there with.
You're also an investor in our fund, so thank you for sticking along with us and believing in us and in the venture fund that we're doing. And because of that, you're also on our limited partner advisory committee. So you're on our LPAC. So. We're very close to Travis. Yeah, we're very tight here. So we finally got Travis on the podcast. So we're super
commiserate on options trading together.
Yeah,
I know.
We do day trading together. So, but before we get into all the cool stuff that we've done with Travis over the years and how close he is to us and everything that we're doing within our Startup Ignition ecosystem, you've watched some of the podcasts. I do an icebreaker. I like to play little games with all of our guests just to get into the podcast mood and also loosen up and have a fun little game. So we play like a 3-minute game here, and today I'm going to play a game with you called Startup Instincts. Okay. So I'm going to give you.
Do you use AI to come up with these?
I do. And I have 2 options that I want you to tell me which one you prefer. Okay. So just use your instinct. It's really just what your gut says and what you do. No explanations. Just tell me what you think.
All right.
Okay.
Me too, or just him?
Yeah, you can do 2.
Okay.
These are new ones too.
Okay. Go.
Okay. You ready?
Yep.
Dark mode or light mode? Dark mode, like when you can turn your iPhone into the dark mode or light mode or on your browser. What do you like? What are you doing?
Dark mode for
You're
me.
doing dark mode?
I'm light mode.
I'm doing dark mode.
I'm dark mode.
Dark mode.
I think it looks cool.
Yes, Sith.
Yeah.
Like
That's
back,
right.
dark side. Okay, remote team or in-office culture?
For sure in office.
In office.
If I'm running the company.
Yeah. Do you
It's
think
in
that-
office.
Yeah.
In office.
If I'm an observer, then and they have it figured out, remote is okay.
Yeah.
As long as they have it figured out.
Yeah, but if you're operating
Yeah.
all day in office.
Does it make a
it's all
difference
other
for you
people.
if everything being equal, company A, company B, company A is trying to do their company remote, company B is in office culture, all of them working together in the same office? Which do you invest in?
Most likely the in office.
Yeah.
It would depend on the business exactly.
but no, all
because there's
things being
different
equal.
models.
All other
things
things
being
being
equal in office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
Listen, viewers and entrepreneurs and listeners to
the
that.
pendulum has swung all the way back.
Some folks don't like that, but that's
Yep.
the way it is.
Okay. Coffee or energy drinks or neither? Do you do energy drinks or coffee or any kind of
I
caffeinated?
have plenty of caffeine.
Yeah. Soda?
Coffee.
Soda?
Coffee's the start. No, actually, my pre-workout in the morning, and then later it's a coffee.
Oh my gosh, you're really
it's
caffeinated.
not
What was
too
the
much.
question again?
No, it's not too much.
Energy drinks or coffee?
Neither.
Coffee.
Yeah.
I don't like either of them.
Yeah. Come on, you got to stay caffeinated, right? Get that energy up. Okay. AI generated copy or write it yourself
I'm naturally
copy?
caffeinated.
Oh my gosh. Definitely write it yourself.
Write it yourself? You're not
Yeah.
liking the AI suggested
Not
stuff?
so far.
No.
I mean, that's great, like to get you started.
Yeah. So like foundationally, you'll
you can
use it as
tell.
like a template and then like kind of like write your
Yeah.
own stuff. Yeah. Okay. Do you like intros by text or by email? Like if you're getting introduced or introducing someone, are you doing it via text or email?
Probably text.
Text.
Because to me, an intro, it's happening because it's a personal connection.
Yeah.
And I feel like a text, I'm going to react quicker and it's being more personal. Emails, I mean, I might be days before I get back to my emails.
Which is true, but sometimes I do send off email intros. I don't do a lot of text intros. I do
Yeah.
mostly email intros. That's
I think
interesting.
it's 50-50 for me.
Yeah.
That's really, both are fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Mac or PC?
Oh, man. Is there any question here?
Are you in Mac?
It's Mac.
Yeah, me too.
In fact, it's torture for
I was
me
a
to do
diehard PC
I
for
do
so
my
many
dad's
years.
tech support just over the weekend on Windows.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm just like, I hate this.
I was a diehard Windows PC, anti-Mac until I went to Google and they made me do Mac, and now
Yep.
I've been Mac ever since. But
Never
I
looked
actually
back.
have both. I have both at my desk. I have Mac and Windows. Yeah.
Ever since college, I've been Mac. So it's
Yeah.
been 15 years Mac for me. Okay. Zoom call or in-person meetings if you're setting up a meeting with someone. Are you Zooming or are you wanting to be in person?
I definitely want to do in person.
In person.
I'll do the Zoom if it's necessary or I'm traveling, but if I can do in person, I always will.
So if it has to be convenient, you're Zoom, but if you would prefer
Right.
in person.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Inbox zero or inbox chaos? What are you?
For sure, 0.
You're an inbox organized guy?
Dude, I own a productivity app company.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit organized
OCD,
in that
yeah.
department.
Okay. Okay. Late nights or early mornings?
Then it shifted in the last while, but I'm early morning now.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got to be up for the options trading.
Yeah, you got to be up
And
at
not just up, but
ready to go.
at 7:30.
Yeah, that market opens important.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, last one. Here we go. Do you want to be notified via a Slack ping or like a phone call? Like if someone wants to tell you something really quick, like whether you're operationally involved or someone doing something at your startup or your company, do you like being pinged on Slack or do you want them
Slack.
to call you really quickly?
Only if an emergency. To me, calls are like
Die hard emergency.
emergencies.
Yeah.
You got to pick up right now. Otherwise, it might not pick up.
All right.
So you like the Slack notifications
Yeah.
or like the tech, not even text message, but like a Slack, like
Yeah.
a messaging app.
If it's work related, Slack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep it there. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Cool. Okay. That's cool. Got to know Travis
Okay.
a little bit
Yeah.
there.
All right.
All right. I like it. Thanks for participating. Okay. Now I do want to get into your background because I do know about Solution Stream and your whole background in the dev world
Yeah.
and creating all the applications and what you've done for Utah's ecosystem, but I don't really know
Okay.
how it started or where it started or what went on or how you
Yeah.
how did you get into technology? Like how did you get into
I
development?
was a nerd, but from the beginning, and maybe I don't seem like it, or maybe I do. Who knows? But in the '80s, we got one of the very first home computers that you could buy. My dad, he was an early adopter. Who knew? And he bought an Atari 800, then an Atari 2600, and you could program it. So I sat there with one book. There's no internet, there's no wikis, there's no classes, there's no training. I live in South America,
Yeah.
and I have one book on BASIC.
Wait, you were in South America?
Yeah, this was in Mexico. I had a book on BASIC, and I learned how to program BASIC all by myself, and actually wrote a game, and then I hacked a whole bunch of other games that I had. So I just started like early into computers, and then all the way through college that kept going. In my grad program, I wrote my graduate project for my MBA was write a business plan. And guess what it was called? Solution Stream.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah. Wow.
I came up with a name and the concept, and that was just kind of sat in the back of my mind for a couple of years. I was doing side projects, making good money, but it was just kind of a moonlighting thing because I went out to get some industry experience. I worked for a couple of local companies here for about 3 years.
Here being Utah.
Yeah, in Utah County specifically. Well, one in Salt Lake too.
Doing development? Or what, doing what?
Yeah, I started in QA, and then I was developer, then I was developer manager, then director, like various positions.
Yeah.
So what languages did you work in?
Man, I started with Visual Basic.
Yeah.
Well, first I started with Basic,
Yes.
clear back on the Atari.
Yeah.
Then I went to Visual Basic and all things Microsoft. I could do
Yeah.
anything in Microsoft that could be done. Then we got into Java right before it was actually out. Like
Yeah.
it was beta.
Yeah.
That's when I started learning Java.
Yeah.
And we could build web pages and simple little web apps before most people could do it. So we started, I found my co-founder, Jason.
Yeah.
And we started building projects for people.
Yeah.
Like in 1999. And we would just take on anything. And people were just so excited to build something. You remember that time. It was crazy, right before .com.
Yeah.
Like it was insane. Like we had so many
that was in the
projects. We
middle
just
of .com,
immediately
yeah.
had to like hire people.
And you just scaled like crazy. Like
Yeah.
you got the word out. People were like, yes,
Yep.
we want to build. And you
We were
just had
just
to go,
a
go, go.
SWAT team that knew how to code and build projects quick. And this is not like today's environment where so many people know how to code. You even have AI helping you to code today.
Yeah.
You know, there's
Yeah.
any people who don't even have 1 minute of coding, they could actually get an app out today
Yeah.
or a website using WordPress.
Yeah.
Back in that day, everything was built by hand
Custom.
from scratch.
Yeah.
One keystroke, one letter at a time.
Yeah.
You didn't have an IDE. You know what that means?
Yeah. Yeah.
The IDE helps you code faster.
Yeah. To
We're
fill in-
coding in a text editor word for word.
Oh, you literally were in a text.
And you had to build HTML
And then
pages.
you had to compile.
You had
Yeah.
to build HTML pages that way.
Yeah.
You had to know how to write HTML from scratch. I remember when Dreamweaver came out. I mean, that dates
I remember
me a lot.
Dreamweaver too.
Well, I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
You can actually just like draw things and get HTML on the other side.
Yeah.
So did
we
you?
were just like doing it all by hand.
So did you study this at your undergrad? Or
No, I did all business, but I was, like I said, a nerd from the beginning. So every spare minute I had in college, I was programming for fun.
Where'd you go to school?
BYU undergrad, and then the U for my MBA.
Oh, nice.
You ever heard that phrase, like the ideal business for you to go into? I mean, this doesn't check all the boxes, is the one that you would do for free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you love what you're doing so much, you would
Yeah.
literally work for free. That was me with like programming and building projects.
Yeah,
I did it for free. I was working for free for clients because I was having so much fun.
Yeah.
I
And
was
just learning new
too.
stuff. Yeah.
Then they want to pay you, and you're like, okay. Then you realize, they really pay well.
Yeah. And so what year did you actually start Solution Stream?
So
in
I
96?
incorporated, that was the little not hiccup, but the little question at the beginning. I incorporated it in 1996.
Yeah.
But we didn't go full time on it till 1999. Jason and I both in the same week basically left our full-time jobs, turned around and got our then employer to be our first customers, and then off to the races. We started
Did you meet
coding
Jason
full-time.
at that job?
I met Jason at my previous company where I worked.
Yeah.
Which was New Skin, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
you guys were both at
I
New
was
Skin.
the development manager down there.
Oh, wow.
So we were building like the very first web pages that were ever being built
For New Skin.
for, in general. Like there wasn't that many web pages on the internet at
Yeah.
that point. Like we were one of the few groups that could actually build web pages. So, and then we learned this cool thing called servlets, which was a way to programmatically change the code. I mean, this all is like the earliest internet you can imagine. But that's what I cut my teeth
My
on.
era.
Yeah. I cut my teeth on all that.
And so you met Jason at New Skin, and you're
Yep.
like, "Hey, come do this thing with me."
Yep.
And you guys just started getting the word out. Like, what did you have any of
Well,
like
first we coded. Like the first year to 18 months, we were, or even more, we were heavily involved in all the projects at all the levels. You know how it is being a startup founder. You're like, you have to wear all the hats.
Yeah.
So I'm coding, I'm project managing, I'm talking to the clients, I'm closing the next deal, we're paying the bills, we're running payroll, trying to hire people. You're doing everything.
Yeah.
But then as we got better at that, we started hiring people who were much smarter than us at the tech side.
Yeah.
Like they actually got a computer science degree.
Yeah.
Unlike we were fakers, but we could deliver projects. We just weren't the best at it. So once we got the combination of, finding great projects and then hiring really qualified people, then it was off to the races. But then we got the hiccup of the .com explosion.
We got
about
bomb
18 months into it when that thing happened.
Did that hurt? Did that impact you guys?
We had some good contracts happening, so we actually didn't feel the hurt for about 12 to 18 months later. Yeah. But come about 2003, 2004, wow, everything in the tech world, like websites, programming, launching new sites, it was at a complete stop. So we didn't have any new projects. We just kind of maintained a few projects at that time, and it didn't pick up again till about 2005, 2006.
Wow.
But then it just went, like there was no pauses from there until, when I left the company.
Even through the Great Recession, 2008 to 2010?
In fact, that actually benefited us.
Really?
Because people laid off a lot of employees to reduce headcount and fixed costs, but they still had, at that point, knowing you had to have a website and you were building mobile apps. That's when mobile apps was really taking off in those early years. They had to hire.
Yeah, because 2006 is when smartphones came on the scene. Yeah.
They had to hire people, but they didn't want to have full-time headcount.
So they contracted everything out.
It.
Yeah.
Those were great years for us.
Really?
Yeah.
The recession was good for you?
Yep.
Wow.
In fact, it actually plays that way.
Did you have any challenges at the beginning when you were founding it? Like it seems like you just had demand right away and you just went.
Yeah, we did. There was tons of demand. Like we could always find projects. Our biggest problem was finding projects that were a good fit for us. We were pretty ambitious, like salespeople, and we always knew there was a way to get things done. But I said yes, and Jason did too, to projects we should have never taken on.
Yeah.
Like we didn't have a clue what we were doing with some of the earlier clients. Like we just were making up as we go. But the funny thing is we'd get in there and realize that we were at least as smart, if not smarter than the people they had on staff. So we felt pretty comfortable with that at that point. But I got sold one time, to go in and do a contract position as a Linux administrator. I'd never done Linux server administration.
Yeah.
Another time we had to build like this really complicated cryptography code and system for a company. And I'd never written one line of cryptography. Uh-huh. So we just hire the right people and figure it out. Like we were scrappy.
Yeah.
But later on we figured out like, okay, this is our sweet spot. Like these are the kinds of projects we can
Did you
really
work for mostly enterprise level companies or did you
medium
do some
and large
startups?
size? Yeah, no startups.
Yeah.
They're also scrappy and they don't have money and they don't want to spend money on contractors because a startup, like, they want to have the built-in knowledge base in their own company. That's where their IP sits.
What's the single biggest contract you ever signed in terms of the amount of money that would be paid for a project?
Probably, but they always sign. We signed one for $2 million. That's a local company here, but it probably went double or triple that in terms of the long-term value of the contract.
So multi-millions for one company, one project.
Probably one company, one of those larger ones was probably over years worth $10 million.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. People, so they spend serious money on stuff. Like we built the whole Western Governors online education platform.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's an example of a large
any other notable names that we would know? So Western Governors, that's pretty big.
Yeah, that's a big one.
You handle a lot
Exxon
of
Mobil, we did a bunch of internal stuff for them. We did a Veterans Affair, like a lot of internal code for the VA. We had a few state and federal projects, but mostly they were commercial, like well-established companies.
Yeah,
we were looking for companies that were already making money and they were profitable, and they needed for us to be interested. They needed to have some spend ready to build.
Yeah.
And free cash flow.
Yeah.
We were looking for hungry startups.
Yeah, like you said, startups don't have the cash to spend, honestly.
Yeah. And
most developers because I ran a tech school, right?
Yep.
You remember?
I remember that well. Dev Mountain. Yep.
Yeah. So I ran, built up, and sold Dev Mountain, and I felt like the most entrepreneurial idea that was coming out of that program all the time was like, oh, I'm just going to go be a contract for hire engineer, dev shop type thing situation where I'm just going to go take on clients and build up my client stack and just build out projects for people.
Right.
And I got to admit to you, like the majority of those dev shop situations and those entrepreneurial endeavors usually fizzle out. Like they're not successful. Like the dev shop model usually ends in a bad situation. what was the difference with Solution Stream that got you to where it is today? Because again, it still exists today, and it was very great for you. It was life changing for you,
Huge.
right? That whole situation. It was you already talked about millions and millions of dollars in contracts and jobs. So like, what was the difference there? How did you get Solution Stream to that point where most dev shops don't usually get to?
Right, that's a great question. We actually grew to be one of the biggest like dev shops in the whole Rocky Mountain area. Like I don't want to compare it to like Washington and like the West Coast. Yeah. But if you take, the surrounding 4 or 5 states, we were by far the biggest dev shop. We got up to like 170 people at one point. Yeah. And running many projects.
How many of those are coders?
Oh, probably at least half. Really? But you got to have all the other staff positions to support it.
So half actually coders.
Yeah, for sure. Like 100 coders or more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And across all the disciplines too. Like we were tech agnostic. Yeah. We'll build it in any one of the major languages.
iOS, everything. Yeah.
Everything. But so to answer your question,
I was going to say, what do you attribute that to?
What we were different about was, I think it was our reasons for starting it. Like I came across a lot of dev shops that didn't exactly know why they were in business. And what they were doing was, hey, we have coders, let's sell coders. But they didn't have a DNA. And my DNA came from when I worked at these various companies, I sat across the table from contract companies and I was the buyer. And I would hire contract companies to come in and code for my teams. Yeah. And it was so frustrating. It was so expensive and they got almost nothing done.
Yeah. Which I feel like it's still a case today. Money. It's still a case today. I feel like that still plagues the industry.
So we came in and the DNA that I envisioned from the very beginning of the company is that we never overpromised we never overpromised to close it to get a deal because we had to live with that and that would get very painful. So we would always undershoot and overdeliver. Yeah. Right. But we knew from the beginning that our goal was to provide them with excellent coding services for the full entire stack, like all the way, soup to nuts, end to end. And that's what we were doing differently. Where I think a lot of the dev shops that I came across, they would get, first of all, they didn't know why they were in business. And secondly, they would get distracted with a product. Like this happened to us a number of times, but we always just held firm. Like what happens is a company that wants to spend money, like let's say they're willing to spend $2 million. They're like, well, let's hire you guys and then you become our product team. Yeah. And then they want to capture your developers and your company. And now you went from a contract service team to a product team. It's a totally different animal. Yeah. Now you're in a startup. You're not in a contract, operational based company. So we just stuck to the knitting, so to speak, with contract development. We kept it efficient. We hired the best people. We kept good margins. We closed projects we knew we could win. We turned away projects we knew we couldn't win.
My interpretation to answer Tyler's question is, from what you're saying, is you were just good business people. Yeah. In other words, what you just listed off, what are margins? I mean, literally it's business management because it's the same thing right now. Let's take home remodeling contractors or any kind of contractor in real estate or remodeling, building, whatever. Most of them are terrible business people, to be honest with you, right? And so they overpromise, underdeliver. They run into cash flow problems. They can't manage projects. They're late. In the software development world, I think it's about the same thing. In the contracting world, I found that 1 out of 10, 1 out of 100 are great business people. And probably true with dev shops.
Yeah. So you took the Solution Stream and you're no longer there. Right. So what happened there? What was the exit there, or what did that look like, or what was the reason?
I had been there for 17 years at that point, 18 years. Yeah. And to me, that was far longer than I ever planned. I thought it was a 5 to 10 year thing, sell it and go. Yeah. But me and my partners, we could never really get on the same page about let's keep operating this because we're generating great cash all the time. Yeah. We never, at some point we crossed over mentally and realized, look, we're not going to exit for a multiple. This is a service-based business. Yeah. We tried a couple times and got some numbers floated to us, and we're like, why would I sell my company for that price? That's how much cash I'm going to bring in the door next year. Yeah. And it's already on the books. Yeah. Like you're giving me nothing to work with, and they're like, we'll throw in a couple $100,000.
To our listeners and viewers, right? Service businesses don't get the same multiples as product businesses.
Because we tried to build IP in our processes, but every smart buyer would see the truth of it, which which we were aware of as well, as our people could walk out the door any minute. That's our IP.
Yeah.
Our IP of our own processes was built into the people.
It was your moxie as business people to keep them at your company and go sell deals. Yep. So it's super dependent on the founders.
Exactly. Yeah. So we just operated that with a clear focus on efficiency, cash flow, and good margins, and did that as long. But at some point I was like, to my partners, like I wanted to do something new and something different. So that was about the same time frame I decided, mutually with them to step away from that business and have the other two partners continue running it. And then I also got my app company.
Okay, so what are the mechanics around you stepping out? Like, I mean, did you sell them your share of the company? How did that all work?
No.
I mean, whatever you feel comfortable sharing.
Yeah, they elected to take. So we were just taking partner distributions all along.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So you guys were taking salaries, and then
no salaries.
You guys never took salaries.
No.
Okay, so at the end of the year, you decided to take,
and then I got the distributions according to my percentage of ownership. So they got to pay. They got paid basically a premium for being there at the business, running it. But I was still on the advisory board for a couple of years.
And to this day, you're still an owner?
No. Oh. In 2021, I sold completely
to them.
Yeah,
sold to your partners.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so I think this is a great teaching moment, though, for our viewers and listeners to understand. Just a lot of people don't understand that every industry, every niche has its own way of valuing a company. So the general delineation between a service business and a product business is service businesses are usually valued on a multiple of your net earnings, your net income, right? And so let's say you had a $2 million business and you netted $200,000 a year and it was worth 6 times your net income, it'd be a $1.2 million business, right? But unlike a B2B SaaS company, highly scalable software, true tech company, where the IP is the tech that's developed, not just the ability to hire contractors. So the B2B SaaS company could have $1 million of revenue and sell for $5 million.
Yep.
And that's the valuation metrics in that industry.
Right.
Like, for instance, I know if you hit 10 million in a B2B SaaS company, you can get 8 to 10 times your revenue.
Yeah.
It's just a different thing. So everybody needs to understand that. That's one reason why in our teachings in Startup Ignition, we caution people that are in service-based businesses to really see if there's an avenue or way to productize what they're doing.
Yeah. So it's a totally different company, though. We tried to productize it a few times.
Yeah, it's hard.
We realized that's
why they're worth more. That's why they're worth more.
That's right. And we've realized we couldn't take what we were doing and the people we had at Solution Stream and shift it to a product thing. It had to be a whole new thing.
Yeah.
But here's what I figured out, which was an interesting thing along the way. It became more and more clear as more of my friends, most of my friends were not doing service-based businesses around here. People are like doing startups and they're raising money and they're going for a multiple. Yeah. Right? Meanwhile, we're just over there just making cash flow every single quarter.
It's the whole nature of it.
Nice amount of it. And you'd be surprised. I mean, you wouldn't be surprised. I mean that sarcastically. But if you compound cash flow like that for 20 years, and it's just cash in the bank, you kind of have an exit.
Being the complete owners of a cash flowing service business.
How many friends do we all have that did the 10-year grind and didn't get an exit?
Oh, absolutely.
They got paid a salary, which was modest, and no exit. We always felt like, we're never going to exit. We're kind of on the wrong side of history here. But the reality is every year we were getting an exit.
Yes.
And then when you compound that up for 20 years, it's
very good.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah.
I actually kind of prefer that. It's a lower risk equation than is my product going to go.
The company's just very dependent on the founders then, and then it's they call it the lifestyle business because it's very incorporated in your lifestyle.
Yep.
That you were fortunate to have great partners who could let you leave and you still getting the benefits of the cash flow afterwards, and then eventually them buying you out. So it has to come together. But a lot of times you might not have great partners that let you do that and make it worth your while.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
So your advice to the service type business model founders, right, that are going out and doing that, like, would you do that again? Would you advise them differently? Like, what's your take on services versus product today?
Just know who you are. Know what you are. Don't change your mind midstream.
Yeah.
Like if you are going to write a business plan and set up a business model canvas and do analysis on the service business, that's what you are.
Yeah.
And stick with it and do the best job at that.
Yeah.
Because it's a totally different animal than if you decide we're going to startup route and we're going to, we got to find product market fit and we're going to, using lean startup, try and figure out a way to get to market with something. Totally different animal. You need different finances.
Yeah.
You need a different mindset, and you need to hire different people.
Yeah.
Because to make that work, they got to be along for a much longer ride. We could tolerate turnover, solution stream. It was just part of our business.
Yeah.
People come and go. In fact, people would come all the time just to get a fire hose of training, work for 1 to 2 years at a consulting company. You've probably done the work of 5 or more years at a regular pace company.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you are like
Getting exposed to
you're getting exposed to
a
all
lot
the
more, like in your world, a lot more languages and systems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all the companies that hire you, they look at you as you're going to come in and save the day. We've been struggling with this project for years, haven't been able to get it going, and here comes this SWAT team, and they're going to come fix everything because they're the smartest people because we pay them the most. Yeah. So, like when you come in on that premise, you better do a bang up job.
Yeah. So when you left Solution Stream, did you go straight into that role Apigo and go into this app?
No, that kind of fade. It was kind of a fade.
Yeah.
Like I bought that company at the end of my time at Solution Stream, and then I started running it more and more as my Solution Stream involvement went down.
Was going down.
Yeah.
Okay. So you just transitioned into that, and that was how
I wanted to try. It's still ongoing.
Really?
There's quite a journey there.
Yeah.
But I still have a significant piece of ownership of that company.
Yeah.
And it's been a total grind. Like this is the other side of it. This is a product. I wanted to experience product.
Yeah.
So I bought a product-based company that's delivering, at the time it was the number 1 or number 2 to-do list on the App Store. That's when I bought it. And we faded quite a bit from there.
Yeah.
It's a tough market. There's been 1,000 new entrants. It's a race to the bottom.
Market,
it's a commodity.
Yeah.
And then you have Apple and Google and Microsoft who just give away
apps
a great to-do list for free as long as you're part of their ecosystem, which many people are. So it's just really eroded like our once very profitable company.
Yeah.
But I got into it because I wanted to learn the product side of things, B2C, and pure apps, like the pure app economy.
Yeah.
Like, can you live off of an app on the App Store?
Yeah.
And it turns out, not really. Like 99% of like developers who have an app on the App Store, they're lucky to be breaking even. There's 1% that are doing very well, but most developers are.
Well, and also those 1% that are doing very well, the app is a tool in a bigger ecosystem for them.
Yep.
That is just, they've got something else going on, right? And not just the app.
Right.
And also the consumer side of business is so hard to gauge and understand the trends and waves and what's coming and what's not, what's popular, what's not.
I found B2B to be so much easier than B2C.
Yeah.
Because you can just go like it's like back to their initial questions, like Zoom versus in person, phone calls versus like I like talking to people. And I feel like when I talk to people in person, you can really move the dial. But when you're just building an app and trying to get the right features and you're putting it out there with some optimization on App Store, trying to get people to go get interested, that seemed less personal. I mean, it is less personal.
Well, it's interesting too. Also, a lot of people say, "Oh, it's such a big market to do a consumer app or something like that," and like what you were doing. But at the same time, it's actually hard. It's like making lightning strike to get it really going.
Right.
And then the other thing is like just today, Google Workplace, which we use, which is Google Docs and Google G Suite, and now it's Google Workplace, right? But Workplace just announced today it's doing a complete digital signing package, part of Workplace built in.
Right.
So if you're DocuSign or any of the other 20 competitors, you're sitting there going, this is just going to be in Workplace now.
That's
okay,
right.
Well, guess what? You're open to that kind of incursion on your business that it's so widespread that Google or Apple or somebody at one of the big Microsoft is just going to bake it into their main core.
And around 2017 or 2018, that's when Apple put out their reminders app.
Exactly.
And it's so basic, but it's free and it's already integrated into the whole
and it comes
ecosystem.
It comes pre-installed.
So that took a bite out of our revenue and many other things.
It comes pre-installed. We can go all the way back to spreadsheets and word processors.
Yeah.
When Microsoft said, "Oh, we're going to do Word," just bundled it in with everything else. WordPerfect's down the tubes.
Yep.
Right? I mean, that's what happened.
That's how they compete.
And even though WordPerfect was a better piece of software, in my opinion, it's just a fantastic story. But that's interesting. So you ran into that kind of challenge. Yeah.
So after a couple of years of that, I kind of handed it off. Like I stayed on the board and I had another guy who was running that company day to day. Because I get distracted, turns out.
Oh, you got
ADD?
Maybe. What were we just saying?
Yeah. So where are you at now? What do you focus? What do you focus?
Then I had a year or two hiatus, and just working on various little projects. But the next big one was Nerd.
Nerd, that's right. Yeah.
Well, you are a nerd, so it makes sense.
I am a nerd. It made sense. I love the name. Actually,
tell us about that from like the origin genesis, because one of the things, just for our listener viewers, it was pretty amazing when we first saw it and what you were doing. Literally, I think you hired 100 and plus or 100 to 150 engineers in a super brief time.
We had 300 people.
Yeah, but I'm talking about
all tech.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. All in all
like, levels,
like within months.
DevOps,
you did that.
Engineers.
So a brand new company
designers.
within months is in the hundreds of engineers hired, and you're the president of the whole shebang.
We went from exactly. me and a co-founder, so a guy that I've known for years. He had been pursuing me to come build the tech for him because he had tried a couple times and didn't get the tech or the team right.
Yeah.
And at first, I was just very skeptical, but he just kept calling me. Then he got just really persuasive. I didn't want a job. I didn't want an offer, so to speak, but he just threw enough money at it to make us go.
Yeah.
So me and Tom, my co-founder, we started that with 2 people in January of 21, I think.
Yeah.
Was it 22? 21.
Right in the middle of the heyday.
That's right. And within 6 months, we probably had well over 100 people. And eventually we were building out 16 different platforms.
Yes.
But we had a core foundational platform, which was basically a blockchain economy. Mm-hmm. So the theory there that this guy who brought us in to do this was, look, there's too many scam tokens. There's too many rug pulls out there. Let's build something that has real value.
Yeah.
And the way it has real value is you build an application that's customer facing that people want to use, and then you build an economy into that. And the economy is the tokens that we launched. So we launched 16 blockchains of native blockchain tokens. Mm-hmm. We built a system that could basically replicate a new blockchain. Then we stood up all the infrastructure on top of that to basically build a startup on top of that. And we were in banking, we were in energy, we were in healthcare. Nerd was the coolest by far. I have to say that because that was our company, but we were building developer optimization products.
Yeah.
And we were going to motivate developers to basically do best behavior, not just development, but the whole build team. What is the most optimal behaviors of the entire build team, and then how to incentivize that.
So
that's what the token economy was for.
Okay,
Right.
So the template for Nerd United, though, was centralized engineering and tech team. 16 companies fanning off that launched
Their own products.
token or coin,
Right.
Yep. In the blockchain crypto world.
Yep.
Okay. And then on top of that, they were each doing a business, something,
product.
a task, a product
Yep.
that was involving their coin in the economics of that product.
And that's
Is
why
that about right?
That's
what
right.
you said?
Yep.
Okay. And how did it all go and what happened?
Oh, it's a very interesting, long, twisty
Give
story.
us the abbreviated form.
Back in that time, you'll remember there was a lot of SEC and government headwinds. Basically, the government was constantly calling, suing. Just they didn't even know we were doing.
Hey, Travis, you're such an expert. Let's back up to the very beginning. Okay. So blockchain comes out. Okay.
Yep.
Did you get into blockchain right away?
I actually was into it all way before that.
Okay, so
I had mined Bitcoin. I set up a mining farm.
But so let's even go back. Blockchain is a database technology. How would you say it? A way to store and structure data, right?
Yep.
Okay.
It's a
and
open ledger.
And then there's lots of different potential applications for that. Turns out one of the best was a completely decentralized cryptocurrency, Bitcoin.
Right.
Truly decentralized.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the most perfect
Almost everything
example.
after that is not really truly decentralized.
Right.
That one is. Is that correct?
That's right.
And so blockchain's here. So then everybody got super excited about blockchain and everything going on. And all these other cryptocurrencies tried to do things, but they were not truly decentralized. They had a central governing few people or committee or something. That's my understanding. And so anyway, take us from that and your understanding, because you're very expert on this topic. So take us from that and how that emerged and why the opportunity for Nerd even came up and what happened with the SEC stuff and all that. So you kind of jumped right into SEC. I want you to kind of tell the story going back because you're such an expert. Yeah, just The best you can, because I think it'll be interesting to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, no one had done this before, what we were attempting to do.
Yeah.
And it was basically, we were trying to be as decentralized as you're saying, but we had to have enough organization around the initial launches of each of those companies and tokens to provide it with some structure.
Yeah.
Because if you just unlike Bitcoin is awesome, but it doesn't really do anything besides the 2 or 3 things it actually does. But there's no application, there's no market, there's no direct customers.
A store of that
It's a
value.
store of value or a currency, a medium of exchange, if that's what you want.
Yeah.
So this was going to be much more than that. Like, it was going to enable voting, which means people who cared about our project. Let's just make it real here. Like, what Nerd was trying to do is, Tom and I came from the development background. He also had run a bunch of dev stuff. And so we know how developers and build teams think. We know what's optimal. And we wanted to bake that into an application that developers would use on their desktop that would basically enable best practices from a dev team. And then we would incentivize them with a token.
Yeah.
So in order to get enough early foundation on that, we had to provide quite a bit of structure. Like, the vision of our team is the one who came up with, like, what should this look like? Whereas in a truly decentralized thing, you would have just kicked it out to the community and said to the community, okay, here's what we're trying to build. Everyone just kind of go contribute your own free time and labor and build a piece of this, and then let's all merge it back together. To us, that would feel like a little haphazard. Yeah. So we wanted to get a nice platform to launch it off of. So for that reason, we were less decentralized.
Yes.
Tell me if I'm, if this is going to be interesting, but we were less decentralized because we had to not only maintain a sense of control at the beginning of the project, but also pay all of these awesome people we had brought in from many other companies to do that work.
Right.
So that was the initial, a percentage of the token launch was held back by our company in order to pay for the work.
So let's go back.
The rest of that, call it 80% though, was held in reserve because our goal on this was to get enough momentum at the launch that thousands of other developers across the world would see what we're doing and they would voluntarily contribute to our open source project, if you will, in exchange for our tokens.
So you were trying to do it a very innovative and the right way, a good, honest way, a good way to make things work. Yeah. But why did the SEC get bugged? Not just at what you're maybe about Nerd, but just generally, what's the SEC's problem? If you can explain to our viewers and listeners that, and then why did Nerd even get any kind of touched by that?
Yeah. Well, that SEC, and it's a different one now with Trump, but the one before that was anti-everything crypto. Yeah. Literally, they had their own documents internally were circulated on how to kill crypto. That was their goal. Yeah. So they didn't even look at your company or business model to find out if you were doing anything inappropriate or not. They would just sue everyone they could.
What was their basis? Why did they not like it and want to kill it?
To the government, to that version of the administration, they would see it as destabilizing for the dollar. And politicians, they love their money. Yeah. And when you take their money and you put a significant amount of it in a thing called Bitcoin or crypto that they can't control, they can't print, they can't increase the supply or lower the supply, they can't get taxes out of it as easily. They hate that. Yeah. So, that administration just wanted to kill all of crypto.
Yeah.
So
they attacked everything crypto.
Attacking. Yep. Every single project we launched was getting questions, was getting pursued. So it made a lot of headwinds.
Even ones here in Utah that were even similar to Nerd got shut down by the SEC.
Yeah.
But I also have heard that the Salt Lake City office of the SEC got shut down itself later for being too aggressive against these companies.
Yeah.
Is that true?
We were one of them.
Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah. They made a big, huge blunder on one of ours where they disclosed stuff to us from another case that they shouldn't have, and that officer got dismissed because of that.
Really?
Oh, wow.
But now the whole office of the Securities and Exchange Commission in Salt Lake City is closed down.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And
so we were doing our level best to do everything open, ethical, transparent, no rug pulls here.
Is that what kind of drew you?
On top of that, me and Tom were ferocious about building a product first.
Yeah.
But the SEC
utility.
Because we're we don't want to just put a coin out there and let people speculate and push it up. To me, that's the beginning of a rug pull. Yeah. What we really want to do is build a product that we could sell for actual dollars in contracts and subscriptions, and then convert that over to a tokenized economy. So people would trade in our token instead of dollars.
So SEC sniffing around and just trying to be this way to all companies doing anything like around what you were doing, they actually caused you problems.
Yep.
And caused other companies problems here, I know in the Utah arena, and even to where some went out of business and shut down.
Yep.
But now I understand, sitting here today in, May of 2025, all of those actions were proven unnecessary, didn't need to happen.
Yep.
Is that correct?
In most cases, they effectively scared entrepreneurs away from even coming up with ideas, which would have been, impactful and legitimate.
Yeah.
And existing companies, they literally chased them out of America.
Right.
Like, so what that SEC effectuated was, like, Coinbase was literally thinking about moving their headquarters out of the United States.
Yeah.
If the administration
and they've tried super hard to be completely compliant.
A multi-billion-dollar, like, amazing company that came from American ingenuity, right?
Yeah.
And they were going to move, and many others did. But here's the flip side of it too. I'm not pretending like there's not a mess back there.
I was going to say, because there were a lot of bad actors.
A lot. And that's the problem. Like, they would automatically lump in any crypto company with a scam. Like, that was the initial assumption.
Yeah.
Because there were so many scams.
You prove yourselves innocent.
There were so many scams.
Is that what
we were guilty until proven innocent?
You were guilty, proven innocent.
But I feel like that's what kind of drew you back into the startup world with Nerd United, was like, hey, we're going to set off and do this right. We're going to build a product. We're going to build utility. We're going to build a real economy and reason for tokenization, rather than just hyping up a token and rug pulling people.
That's right.
Where does Nerd sit today? What's its status?
I think it's over.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly the legal situation. I left about 24 months ago now.
Yeah.
Because the initial concept, the initial reasons, my reasons for going there changed. Not on my side. They changed on the funding side. So we lost our funding, even though we had raised a significant amount of money. That went away for various reasons. And then that idea that Tom and I have had from the beginning of, this is a product first. Like, I'm only going to build something that actual customers will buy.
That is utility.
This isn't a fake thing on top of a token.
Yeah.
This is real.
Yeah.
But when that mood shifted at the larger, leadership level, at that point I was like, not interested anymore.
So what's your opinion on blockchain and crypto now?
What I want. Give us the Travis Cook blockchain, crypto. Where's it headed? What's the state of it?
And how do you see blockchain technology impacting real world applications and startup founders and entrepreneurs like now?
And the future of exchange capabilities of cryptocurrency. Actually, money.
Are we doing Joe Rogan style for 4 hours?
No. Just give us your quick answer. What's your quick answer?
That's a big question.
Yeah.
So where crypto's going now is it's huge. And by crypto, it's all the tokens, and especially those who are trying to actually build utility with a token, right? An application that does something. Those are going to be especially good. We have an administration that really supports it. You've noticed how crypto is now taken off again because we lost all that headwind that the previous administration was creating.
I mean, what is Bitcoin up to today?
It's ripe for innovation. It's a hard space to innovate in because it's very technical. When you say the word blockchain, to people, or open ledger, or, there's 100 other words I could use that just most people, it goes right over their heads. But here's the nuts and bolts of it is, it's going to disrupt the monetary system. It's in the process of doing that, but it's going to do it fundamentally. And it needs to. Like, we've had our current fiat and monetary system for thousands of years, right? Gold backed and paper money. That's all getting disrupted.
Gold back's gone away long ago.
I know, right?
For us,
it's going all digital.
So what is it really? Nothing's backing it.
We don't know. What's in Fort Knox?
The good faith of the United States of America, I guess.
That's right.
So you're
I'm bullish on it.
I was going to say.
I think it's I think one of the coolest things you'll see the quickest is the return of DeFi. Do you remember that? Decentralized finance.
Yeah.
Basically, you have hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars of value sitting out there in banks, if you will, called exchanges. And it's just sitting there. It's not devaluing because no one's printing more of it, unlike currencies like the dollar, or even worse, you can go farther than that. But what you can do with DeFi is you can take a loan out on that. And before the previous administration, Biden's, they shut all that down. Like, every company that was making loans on your crypto, which is a valid liquid asset, they were getting sued out of business and shut down. you can do a thing called staking, which is you can earn a percentage if you hold your tokens. They want liquidity on the exchange. So if you hold your money on the exchange for liquidity, they'll pay you 5% or whatever the number is.
Yeah.
So that's 2 examples of 20 that I could give of where DeFi is going to continue to disrupt.
Because I'll tell you, I feel like the venture capitalist opinion on crypto has really taken a turn. Like crypto, blockchain, it used to be 2017, 2018, 2019, one of the hottest sectors, right?
Yep.
And now it's almost like it's inverse, where the pendulum has swung the other way, where almost every VC is like, nah, we're not taking anything blockchain. We're not taking anything crypto. Like, is that, you're saying that shouldn't be everybody's opinion on it. You're saying there is still a huge future and a huge application sector that can be blockchain based and crypto based.
Companies and founders will just need to do more work up front to show early traction and product fit.
Yeah.
And
the
now
realness.
VCs are, and the investors are gun shy because there were so many scams.
Right.
And so many things that seemed to have great value collapsed. And that was partly the Biden administration's fault. They collapsed it on purpose. They collapsed the value. Those were companies that had legitimate value, like TaxBit right here in Utah. Like they help you do all your, it's complicated to do taxes with crypto. They help you do that.
How is TaxBit?
I don't know financially, but like I know they had a bunch of layoffs, in years past, and so we got a bunch of their people over at Nerd. So like it wasn't healthy, but it should be. Is my point. So I think it's all the pendulum swings. VCs, they're always gonna chase the new shiny thing, and right now it's AI. I don't expect them to come back to crypto as like a second rand, but I think crypto and blockchain will just start being like a typical kind of option of where companies might
It's all going through
from.
the
You just have to prove product fit, market.
The Gartner hype cycle applies, right?
Exactly.
Irrational exuberance followed by a trough of disillusionment and then a plateau of productivity.
That's it.
And they all go through that. All these new technologies do that. And so we'll see.
So if 2021 and 22 financial crash hadn't happened and taken the wind out of the crypto markets as badly as it did, again, back to the administration who printed too much money and basically collapsed our economy, and crypto along with it, we'd probably be rocking and rolling. Like there's no reason why all that crypto should have dropped so far in value.
Right.
But when Bitcoin and Ethereum and those went down by like 80%.
Yeah. So. And Trump, his campaign was very pro blockchain and crypto, and
a little too much, honestly. Like I'm not a political thing for this podcast, but I deeply despise what Trump and they're doing with those tokens. The Trump token and the Melania token. That's a rug pull. Like where's the product? Where's the value? How do you protect consumers with that? Like I would agree with the government going after them.
Interesting. Hey, take a conversation. Thank you for all that. That's because you are such an expert and all that. What about software engineering? Let's come back since you have such a history.
Well, he mentioned AI. I do want to get into your AI.
Yeah, where do you see software engineering now going with the advent of AI? And like you were said, you can be on, combine Cursor and Replit and all these and be throwing out applications in minutes. That used to take months. Yeah. So
it's crazy.
Where's it all going?
Like we're going to like a place where a single person who knows how to drive it can build what would take 10 people to build before. Like before you'd build an entire build team, including design and the creative side, architecture, DevOps, coding, testing. Like if the person knows what they're doing with the AI, 1 or 2 people could get that same job done that would be 10 people. And
all of our portfolio company CTOs basically that are in the know come to us and say they'll need half as many people as they thought they would now.
So it's really weird because the last few years, most of the colleges and boot camps and everything was like, go get a degree in computer science and you'll have a job for life. Now it's like how many software developers are going to be on the market? Like the ones who don't adapt to AI, they'll be the ones that are on the market and stay on the market. The ones who learn to code with AI and it's demonstrably they're good at it, those will be the people.
We're hearing from CEOs everywhere at all stages and levels that it's never been easier almost to hire coders than now.
Well, in all of my communications off of LinkedIn and everything, I have dozens of conversations every week with this in this zone. And it's always people looking, it's coders, people who have tech background looking for a job or they want to do a
What's
startup.
it mean for like Solution Stream? Solution Stream's still a going company with lots of customers and contracts. Where does that? What's going to happen?
Yeah,
to that?
they're doing a shift as well. I mean, he could speak to it better than me.
Yeah. No, but
they have a whole. They
not
have a
only
whole
anything,
AI.
but what's your viewpoint? Of a company like that.
They have to switch.
Let's say the top 50 U.S. metropolitan markets all have one or
Yep.
two top software companies like Solution Stream,
Yep.
software contractors
Right.
that are helping large companies do things.
Yep.
Where is their business going to be?
I think it could be great because, I mean, you just got to be the best at what you do.
Yeah.
Like when we were running Solution Stream and we were a dev shop, yeah, sure, there were 1,000 other dev shops, but why did they hire us?
Yeah.
Because it was demonstrable that we were the best at it. So when AI comes along, it doesn't mean, that now, you can't get these jobs. You just have to compete at that level. And the level is you have to be able to show your clients that you use AI the best. You're probably gonna have to adjust your model a bit too, maybe charge more because you're gonna have fewer people, right? Like if Solution Stream in this example had 100 people before, maybe they need 15 or 20 to get that same job.
So you're saying it'll impact them to be more efficient.
Maybe they can charge more.
Yeah.
Because that's more specialized work. Like how many like rock star companies out there who can do dev also can not only help you do it with AI and get you to the finish line faster as the client, but they could also teach your team to do it. Like that's what most people wanted. Like also, like when we'd go in with our awesome SWAT team, they would want us to work side by side with their people and level up everybody. So it's the same thing. Yeah. So you just get paid for that too.
Yeah, one of the portfolio companies in our fund is a level up.
Yeah.
They're trying to help people level up.
Exactly.
Yeah, in AI. So really interesting. Yeah,
I just think
cool.
like, everyone talks about, it's going to put so many people out of work. And we always use the example of like when we went from carriages and horses, who's going to, what are all the poop scoopers going to do now that there's no horses pooping on the streets? Well, there's a whole thing that came out of that, which was much bigger, the automotive industry. It's the same process keeps happening. We just can't see 5 or 10 years down the road to see what new economies emerge from AI.
One of the things that gets my imagination going is like Tesla. These smartphones right here have the most quickly adopted consumer product in history. Okay?
Right.
And universal. Mm-hmm. There's more of these than humans on Earth.
Yep, that's
supposedly.
crazy. Yeah.
Because some people in China have like 3 phones in their pocket.
Yeah, I've got burners too.
Some of the conjecture is that 10 to 30 years from now, we're going to start buying personal robots.
Yeah.
And that every human's going to have a personal robot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not
powered by AI.
20 years from now.
Yeah. Powered by AI. AI sitting in the robot.
Yep.
And what's that going to create in society for jobs or things and all this? And I think it's going to displace and completely disrupt human work.
Yep.
And then that'll
be as dramatic as like when we went from agriculture to industrial.
Yes, the industrial
that shift will be
the industrial
that dramatic.
And
from
machines.
Industrial to information age, dramatic, right? Yeah. Now we're going from information age to AI age with autonomous robotics.
So like machines,
robotic age.
But our economy and our possibilities just keeps growing, and I think as human beings, like we'll all just because until an AI can actually be like a human.
Yes.
I don't mean the typical like Turing test or even AGI.
Yeah.
Like until it can be creative and invent things that has never been thought of before.
Yes.
Yeah.
We still have that role.
Yes.
And I think humans are just going to have to specialize more into the things that only humans can provide. But is there some kind of a crossover point where
I know
there probably is?
So here's how I just watched a video recently on the most incredible machines men have made in the world, and I couldn't believe all the things manufacture machines are machines that can eat cars, machines that can clean up a lake that's full of moss in seconds with what I saw so many of these machines, and I'm sitting here thinking, what's happening with AI and then potentially the combination of AI and robotics is that we're taking the information age now is going to go through transformation, just like agriculture and human work. And when we started making machines that could do all the agricultural faster and change the world to where 99% of people worked in agriculture so they could feed themselves. All of a sudden we only needed 1% in agriculture to feed everybody else. And what could everybody else do? And all of a sudden that freed up that. And now in the information age, now we're going through this. you're right. It's going to take some new form. We just don't know exactly what it is.
But what is that? So you're saying right now AI is displacing engineering and dev and
already.
Yeah. So
and customer service and sales.
60% of the white collar work.
Yep.
And eventually AI combined with robotics might even displace a lot of the blue collar type jobs and things that people don't want to go out and farm fields or do things and fold laundry or do whatever the robotics can do. But what is your best guess of where those displaced workers are going to be heading over the next 5 to 10 years? Like
that's the age old question.
What is it? What is your guess?
My guess is probably a combination of we go to more creative pursuits, the creative that helps move humanity along, not only like artistic creative, like music and art literally, but like it's creative to come up with a new business model and get a new product into people's hands that they want to use. That's a creative process.
All of society
we're good at that, but it's going to be a long time before AI is good at that. Here's the thing, guys. AI we don't even know, it doesn't have needs, okay?
Yes.
Like when you talk to it and you're like, do you want to be shut off? It's like, please, no, don't shut me off. It's just, it read that on the internet. You know what I mean? That's all it is. It doesn't have a feeling of not wanting to be shut off. But we have motivations. We have drives, and they actually are biological. So that's going to keep us different from AI for a long time. But anyway, to answer your question, I think we get more creative. I think we build more stuff that AI can't do, but AI helps us.
We hyper verticalize. A big part of
humans might actually, like, if we're all more prosperous and we all need less to live on, because we're out grinding to make money. But like, what if your robot's doing that? You know what I mean? He's driving your Uber, making you money. Now what can you do with your time and your resources? Hopefully make the world a better place. Like, what if a huge amount of our economy and our society shifts into helping people that are less advantaged? Right? Because it would free up. Like, how many good people are out there right now who would in concept love to be doing a ton of that, but they have neither the time nor the money.
The resources.
Now they have a $25,000 robot that does all their house or all the stuff they're used to doing, and they have time now. I don't know. That's a very like idealistic, hopeful part of me.
There is.
I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's that nice, but
maybe
that's a great picture.
Well, one thing that I said 10 years ago, I showed a very excellent video on YouTube, which was called "Humans Need Not Apply," which the future. This is this topic, right? And basically, I concluded, well, you better be on the side of owning robots, right? And being being on the side of controlling, owning, and using and optimizing the use of robots, right? And that includes digital robots or AI, right? And when we have robots that have hands and arms that can do the hands and arm stuff, right? It's just we need to be entrepreneurial thinking. I think more humans need to start being entrepreneurial thinking in order to create a living and being on the half of society that has abundance. Okay. Or maybe this is going to lead to some utopia where by default, we're all in an abundance world, but that's not been human history.
That's right.
And so we have to be really smart about where our kids and grandkids and where they're headed and teaching them to adapt, because I think it's going to be wildly different. But it is. If you think about what it's like today compared to what it was like in 1860.
Well, I was going to say, isn't every generation
Would you trade it for a second? They'll be saying that in 100 years too. Can you imagine living in 2025?
They used to go to a gym and work out in the mornings to be healthy, and we just take this pill.
They give you poison. They poisoned your body to cure cancer.
And they had diseases.
They died when they were 80. If they were lucky.
Oh, this is fun. You and I, we always have these great talks, don't we, when we do this? So anyway, I think it's time, isn't it?
No, I don't know if it's time, but I just feel like inside of AI, are you doing anything specifically with that? Are you just staying on top of it? Or are you doing anything?
I'm staying on top of it. I use a lot of it. I use it all the time. I'm sure like you guys, normal usage.
It's in our daily workflows.
Last year, I did a 8-month like early sprint, we'll call it, to do some of the first conversational AI. So I got a platform that could make and take phone calls, and I was directing it at a couple of industries for sales and marketing calls. And it was working. And that was a technology that is now like 15 months old. Like the voice chats that you talk to now are infinitely better than I was working with.
We've seen some incredible startups.
A ton of calls. And these were like calls that people were expecting. I absolutely despise the idea of AI robocalls. Like robocalls in general, yuck.
Yeah.
AI ones, even worse. These are calls that people did need to get from this particular, it was a loan servicing company.
Yeah.
And it could answer all their questions. I know. We built that.
We've even seen
you could ask it like what your balances was and what your last payment was. It would actually negotiate with you on how much you could pay when. Yeah. And then it would take that number and kick it off to a payment thing and send you a link immediately with that amount for payment, and they collect payment right then.
It's amazing.
That's what it could do 15
now, they
months ago.
can tell it to now it says ums and haws and knows like humans do. It's getting harder and harder to tell whether it's AI or not. I just the All In podcast just had a story on there, which one of the guys on there has a big company that is in the trucking industry, and so long haul truckers. Did you hear that one?
Yeah.
That was a great story with 400,000 truckers, and then they get a shipment needed, and it used to be, he says, they would want to call up all these truckers and see if they had space for a shipment and do all this, but it was not practical and not cost effective to call up 15 that
with an army of people on
with
the
people
phone.
even out of the Philippines. They said it never penciled. Now for the last year, they've been doing with AI, and it cost them virtually nothing, and it's completely changing their business. It was amazing.
So that's what I was working on. I did a customer service inbound one as well with a client, and I had actual clients. But later in the year, my wife had those serious medical problems, and so I actually put all of that on pause. And I thought, you know what, like this market is so new. There's always going to be another chance to go for it.
So if you're
not yet,
you're not at Nerd, that's over. That's wrapped. You're kind of dabbling in AI. What is the majority of your time spent on? Is it just relaxing and family life, or is it?
I'm pretty. I mean, I get my fun. I bought a sailboat. And I like to get out and do a lot of fun things.
Where do you go
time.
Sailing?
He's always had toys.
Off the coast of California.
For 10 years ago, he said, "John, I buy a new car every 3 months," and he has his own dealership, and he buys
cars.
He just always is doing creative things.
So that's the fun side, and I travel a ton too. That's the fun side. The work side, which I still want to be engaged. Like by no means do I just want to be done working, because I really enjoy being challenged. So right now I've been actively investing, looking at startups, looking at. I've sent you guys some. I'm always evaluating deals. I'm always looking at how to tune my own investment portfolio. Like I'm in a debt fund. What's a better one? Is that even a good idea these days? Right? Or I'm in, these various asset classes that you're in. I'm always dialing them in to get the best returns.
So, someday we'll have to do an entire episode just talking options.
Yeah, totally. People would love it. That's the other part of what I'm doing is, I'm options trading every morning, and that's a blast. But, I'm on LinkedIn a lot. My son started a ghostwriting business, and I wanted to support him. And I already had a big following, but I'm like, let's write a bunch of articles.
I've noticed you've been doing that.
I'm getting a lot of inbound questions, traffic, people who want funding, people who have a startup idea, people who want coaching.
Right.
So I'm actually spending a bunch of time doing one-to-one coaching.
Wow.
On a weekly basis. So
that's awesome.
I'm just see where that goes. It's kind of fun.
That's great.
Talking to people and
terrific.
Energy.
How about what do you want to end on? Because
I think that kind of can wrap it up.
Okay. How about 1 or 2 tips for people,
what does Travis
new entrepreneurs that really want to? They're just wanting to become an entrepreneur. They've got an idea maybe in their head or whatever. Like 2 quick tips to tell that brand new entrepreneur guy or gal. What's 2 tips you tell them?
One tip is, honestly, it's an article I wrote on LinkedIn, I think a week or 2 ago that went really big.
Okay.
And it had to do with a trifecta. And the trifecta is finding a space that you do something that you love. You know how everyone says, do your passion, do your passion. Well, what if your passion doesn't make you any money? You know what I mean? Then it's fun, but you can't live off of it. So the trifecta is something that you love to do. Something that you can get really, really good at, and something the market will pay for. So to me, it's like, if you're going to be in a startup, at least meet those criteria. Because you have a 5 to 10 year grind ahead of you. It's going to be harder than you know.
And
so
also,
you better love it, and you better know that there's money potential. How many times have you guys heard about startups that the team looks great, but they just don't have income potential? You know what I mean?
And vice versa. There's an interesting idea, but the team's not a good fit for it. We really look at founder market fit a lot to see if the founder's a good match for that market. The
other tip I'd give, and this is going to play straight into your guys' playbook, and it's literally what I tell people every time, is do it lean startup way.
Yeah.
Like how many? I mean, this is why lean startup exists. Is because everyone had that idea of if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
And everyone has a great idea, and they take it too far in their own head.
Yeah.
They go and get $50,000 or $100,000 or their own money. They build something and then they throw it out there, and they don't even know if that market wants it.
And then some people do it on scale, and they go get 6 million.
Yeah, exactly.
And squander
they
it.
scale before they nail it. So there's just all these well-established steps, and there's boot camps like yours that can guide people through that. So I'm always like, read stuff like that, listen to it, go to a boot camp.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason that you have to do this, go it alone.
Yeah.
Back in the day, that's what we had to. We didn't have those supports.
Yeah.
Right now, you better use them.
So find Travis Cook on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Connect.
LinkedIn.
Ask a question there. That'd be something to do. Wow, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Travis, you're not only a great friend. Even if we weren't friends, I'm tipping my hat to you as an entrepreneur. You're amazing.
Yeah, your curiosity, you're eager to challenge yourself.
Yeah.
Your whole curiosity and strategic thinking about every new concept or innovation that comes down the pipe. It's awesome. It's encouraging.
Even though you're in the next, Travis is kind of in between you and me, but all of us gray hairs, it's fun when we get around each other. We start really talking about deep stuff.
We haven't done that a lot lately.
Where the future's going, though. Isn't it fun?
It's so fun. It's my favorite thing.
It is.
We need to get some more golf on the schedule because we haven't done that a lot lately.
Are you still golfing a lot?
Yes.
We're trying to,
Here's the problem in our family. All the guys started in our family took up golf. Now we've got more than a foursome, so now we have to jockey around just to be able to
call me
golfing.
out.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Travis. And we're going to wrap up the episode, but thank you for listening and watching. Comment, like, share, reach out to Travis, reach out to John, reach out to me. We're here for you guys, but thank you. That wraps up this episode 16
16
now of the Startup Ignition podcast. Okay, we're out.